My name's Lorna and I'm just telling you a bit of my story of how I come to be looking after my grandson. I had a phone call from DHS saying that they had my grandson and could I come in and talk to them about it. He'd been in and out of foster care virtually since he'd been born, and they just wanted to talk to me about how I felt about him coming to live with me, which was an absolute total shock. But I should have realised, because I often used to see the mother without the kids, but I just thought somebody else must have been looking after them. So I goes in and I talks to one of the girls, and they explained a bit of what had gone on in Regan's first years of his life, which was about 3 years. So we discussed how I felt about to go home and have a think about it, and I thought about it and thought I was too old and that I couldn't do it, and then I thought, well, if I don't, where on earth is he going to end up? Because he'd been in numerous foster care places and was really, really difficult child due to circumstances which wasn't his fault. So I agreed, and the first time I met him was outside DHS. They'd just come from Melbourne, where they'd picked him up from the foster home, and this little stranger come into my life. He was just 3.5 then. Then he came with a plastic bag with clothes and a couple of toys. He was angry, really, really angry little boy. Wouldn't talk, could hardly understand what he was even saying. He used to sort of talk, just sort of television stuff, gibberish. And eventually I understood why he talked like that, because the television was his babysitter. That's where he used to spend a lot of his life, sitting in front of the telly. So as time went by, he, through stumbling, making lots of mistakes and didn't know how to cope, and ringing and asking for advice, and because I'd had 4 children and 3 sons, and he was totally different to what I'd experienced with my other boys. He used to, he came in nappies too, by the way, at 3. Didn't know how to go to the toilet. So I thought, well, that was the first thing I had to do, was get him toilet trained. And living on a farm where I could free range him, I used to let him go without his nappies and anything. So eventually I had him trained to go to the toilet, but he seemed to be really afraid of it. And I still don't understand why. There's lots of scenarios I've come up with, but still not quite sure, and I'll never ever know. Then frequently in the bath, he'd do his business in the bath, and then he'd screen the bath walls with his faeces. Couldn't understand that or why he did that or anything like that. That eventually stopped. He was beginning to really sort of trust me, and it was as if he didn't like women. He just was just angry, and I used to just hold him and let him calm him down, and told him that he was special and that I loved him, and lots of tears, lots of doubts, wondering whether he was ever going to be happy, whether he's ever going to feel secure for me. When the DH girls used to come out home, he used to stand at the gate and wouldn't let them in. And that was fear for them to come. He used to think that they were going to come and take him away again. So I realised then that he was really starting to be secure with me. So there's just so many stories I could tell you. Oh, another instance which really, really shocked me, and it was just so sad, was I've got a modular lounge suite with big loose cushions, and I don't always take the cushions off when I vacuum. So this particular day I took the cushions off and I couldn't believe of all this food I found planted. Just biscuits and half a sandwich or a banana or an apple or just simple things like that. And I just sort of couldn't believe it. So I talked to the DHS at my supervisor and she said, they call that squirreling because he'd gone without food frequently. This is what they do. They go and plant food so they'll always have something to eat in their little hidey places. So that was a real eye-opener. So I had to prepare him. I wanted to get him into kinder. We had really, really hard times with that because he really didn't know how to socialise properly. And if he got into trouble, he'd just go and curl up feeder style under a table or in a cupboard or whatever. But as time went by, he grew to understand that it was a fun place and all these other kids were good kids and nice to play with. And then, I can't remember what year it was, and he was really, really good. I'm really starting to understand that I wasn't going to take him back, I wasn't going to give him back, that he was mine for keeps. So a few months went by and the next family law, the children's court day come up. My DHS supervisor said, how did I feel about becoming a guardian? And that would mean that I didn't have to have him there and have them supervising and coming out home, because it unsettled him all the time, because he used to think that they were going to come and take him away. So we didn't know how we were going to go, so we eventually fronted court, and it was the second child that she had guardianship given to a grandparent, and my supervisor was just absolutely over the moon. So where do I go to now?
And how do you find having Reagan now at 11 years of age?
It's just enlightening. It keeps me young. It keeps me in with the young people. I get on so well with all the kids, the young kids at school. I'm involved in learn to swim programs. We go play basketball. He's into basketball. He rides motorbikes. And it was really funny there, on New Year's night we went to Warrnambool to the Speedway, his dad and I and Regan, and I went off to get a cup of coffee, and the queue was a mile long, and when I come back, his dad said to me, he said, well, gee, Regan's not going to let you go too far. And I said, why? What happened? And because I took a while, he said to his dad, I'm going to look for Nana, I think she's lost. So, which is rather sweet, because sometimes I think he doesn't care, but I know he does. So, I don't know. But it is, if you think it's hard yards, it is. But the rewards are just so magic. Yeah.
Thank you.